And good evening and welcome to Lift FM 98.5 and 97.9 on your FM radio dial. And of course, we are on the World Wide Web at liftfm.com. This is our Tuesday evening program entitled Second Chances. And you say to yourself, well, gee, what is a second chance? Well, here's how we answer that question. If you know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, then you absolutely positively know that our God is a God of second chances. If you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I've got great news for you. Number one, this is the reason, for those of you that don't know God as your Lord and Savior, this is the reason we put the program on. And in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, we also believe that our guest in this program could be an encouragement to you to help you get set free and let you know that no matter what things look like, God is always with you. So that's why we put this program on, Second Chances, to let you know that even if you've done all these things in your life, that God still will forgive you if you ask Him to come into your heart and ask Him to be Lord of your life. He will come into your heart and take all those things, and you'll be like a new creation. He'll forgive you of your sins, and you'll be like all the other ones of us who have been before you and accepted God as their Lord and Savior. Now, we have a wonderful, guest with us tonight. We have a husband and wife combination here. We have Matt and Jen Sheets, and we'd like to thank both of you for joining us here at Lift FM tonight.
Oh, you're welcome, Greg.
No problem.
Great to be here.
All right, well, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, I'm going to disclose this. A lot of times when we do these programs, I don't know my guest that much about them, but in the case of Matt and Jen, if I had another brother, it would be like Matt, and if I had another family member, it would be like Jen. So I know a lot about them, but we're going to try to conduct this interview not knowing a lot of things as you at home would. But first of all, Matt, let's let you go first. Tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from, and things like that, just so we get a feel for who you are as a person.
Sure. I was born and raised here in Millville, and my family as well, native to New Jersey. Going to Ferreton Christian Center basically all my life, and I currently work down in Morristown, so I've been basically a resident here my whole life.
Now, was there ever a time, I know you were raised in a very strong Christian home, your parents loved the Lord, and you went to a Christian school, and for a time were homeschooled as well, but was there ever a time that you weren't really close with the Lord?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that time and maybe what brought you out of it, if you can remember.
Well, there was a time in my life when I was just very stubborn, and I wanted my own way. I really didn't care, in a sense, that what the Lord had for my life. I always said to myself I did, but really deep down inside I didn't, because my actions reflected that. And the thing that really brought me out of it was just looking at my life and understanding, where am I going to go if I keep doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted more of the Lord, and I wanted Him to bless my life. I didn't want to ruin my life. And I knew if I kept continuing down the road I was going, it was going to end in disaster, because little things here and there was reflecting that. So it really just came down to a decision that I had to make to want to do the right thing and want to give my life over to the Lord, and it was definitely worth it.
One final question on this. Once you made the decision to give your life to the Lord, did things instantly change? Did you have a better outlook? Did you start to see things change in your life for the good?
Not right away, but things do happen, little by little. They don't happen all at once. Well, it didn't for me anyway. It's really cool how the Lord has worked in my life, and but it has taken time, lots of time, for things to really progress.
Mm-hmm. And another question about childhood, because this is an important one. How important would you say that it is? I know you were raised in a Christian home and in a Christian school with a pastor that loves kids, loves the Lord. How important to you do you think Christian education is?
Oh, very important. Going to Ferreton Christian Center was definitely the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And having someone like Woody Moore as our pastor and everything. He's just an incredible man, and someone I highly look up to.
Okay. Now, let's introduce your wife now, Jen Sheets. And Jen, just like we did with Matt, give us a little bit of your background. Tell us where you're from, what kind of home you came from, things like that.
Well, I'm from Arkansas, a little town in Arkansas, and for the last 18 years before I married Matt and moved here to Jersey, I lived in Maryland. And I come from a Christian home. All my aunts and uncles, they're all Christians. My dad, he's been a little difficult to live with, but he's taught me a lot, that Christians aren't perfect, and we sometimes come from a background that's hard, but it teaches us a lot about God and how to trust in Him as our Heavenly Father and not to always, look at people on earth to get our example of how God is, because nobody can live up to that. But my mom's great. She's been my rock and my role model, and it's been good. I've had a good life.
Now, I probably heard that before, that you were from Arkansas, but I always thought of you as a Maryland person. But
well,
tell us, just to get a perspective, tell us about life in Arkansas. You were there for what, 18 years, Jen?
No, I was in Arkansas for 2 years.
Oh,
in Maryland for 18
Oh,
years.
okay. So
I don't really remember Arkansas.
Yeah, okay. Well, then that's different. Okay. Tell us about lifestyle in Maryland. Were you more in the city area, the suburbs?
I was in the suburbs, only 25 minutes away from the city, but there was a lot of country, a lot of rolling hills, and of course, having the horses and all, I got to see the beautiful parts of Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's one of the things that you get to know you. You know that's your love. I know Matt's your love, but
yes.
Your other love is your horses, and
yes.
I know Matt shares that with you as well. But tell us how one actually gets into owning horses and then training horses. I mean, I find it fascinating that you know all this stuff about horses. I mean, how did you learn all this stuff?
Well, we moved to Maryland, and my dad built churches, and we'd lived in probably 11 different states from the time I was born till the time I was 8. But when we came to Maryland, you could just see, that environment for horses. It was amazing. And I just fell in love with them. And my dad, I begged him for a horse, and he wasn't, too thrilled about it because they cost a lot of money and everything. But he knocked on someone's door one day and said, my daughter wants a horse, and can she come and work for you and get some experience? And the rest is history.
Wow.
know?
So the Lord not only provided the horse, but He provided the experience for you to do what you're able to do today.
Yep.
Is your desire with horses more as a recreational thing, or do you have aspirations to take horses, train them, breed them, things like that? What's your desire in the big picture?
Well, I've always seen myself as an entrepreneur, and I wanted to do something with horses because they are my passion, and they are something that's really been a thing that I've had to keep from being first in my life, because God needs to be first, but horses are the idol that I've forever been battling with. And, but I definitely see myself, doing things with horses. I feel God blessed me, and I want to be able to bless other people. And, everybody wants their passion to be their career. So.
Matt, that's an interesting question. Jen says her idol could be the horses. What could be your idol?
Well, growing up, I've always been a backwoods boy. I always love to be in the woods, and my idol is out west. I love the state of Colorado, the mountains, and I go out there every year and backpack and just basically live off the land. I just love it, and I would probably consider that one of my idols.
Well, certainly horses and Colorado and all that could certainly work well together. No doubt about that. Jen, tell us what it was like. I'm very fascinated the fact that your dad built churches. Did you go to a lot of churches because of that? Is that the reason you moved around? And what that must have been interesting to go to different areas and see churches come from the ground up.
Yeah, we just moved as my dad got a job building a church. Sometimes it was 6 months. We were in a state, and we would move there, and he would be building the church. Obviously, it wasn't ready to be, we couldn't go to it, but we would go to churches around the area. And when Dad was done doing his job, then we would move somewhere else and be there for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, and just kept moving. And then when we got to Maryland, I was 8, my brother was 10. My mom said, you know what, we want to settle. And my dad started going out on his own, coming home every weekend, and he would still build churches, and he did that for a good 20 years. So.
Now, in addition to church building and horses, were there other things that you were involved in your life, whether it be in personal or church or things like that?
Well, music has been a huge part of my life. I've always wanted to be on the worship team. I've played flute and guitar since I can remember, and I've just always been into worship music and doing everything I can. I remember in college we had Campus Crusade for Christ on our campus, and that's where I learned to play the guitar and just got really heavy in music. And a few years later, the church I left to come here, I was really involved with their worship team, and it was a really great experience. But that's always been my way to kind of connect with the Lord, and it's another one of my passions.
Now, somebody told me that your husband can actually sing. Is there any truth to that, Jen?
Well, I've heard him sing a little bit, not a whole lot. He lets me hear him sing along with the radio, but I've watched a tape from when he was younger, and he did a little production at the church and school. But I'm still trying to get him to sing with me at Fairton, so we'll see.
Is there any truth to that rumor, Matt, that you can sing?
Well, I'm trying to keep it a rumor still as of right now, but it might come out as truth.
Well, I can identify with that. My wife, the rumor is that she could sing, although we haven't heard it in a long time, but I understand. Now, how old are you, Matt?
I'm 26.
And Jen, how old are you?
26.
Okay. Now, you're from Maryland,
Yep.
Originally from Arkansas, and you're from southern New Jersey. So you're now husband and wife. So the obvious question, we have plenty of time to talk about this, is how did you two come to meet? And obviously it wasn't just as easy as meeting, I'm sure. So who would like, you know what, Matt, you're the one that doesn't like to talk as much. Let's let you go first. I know your wife will like that.
Sure, that's fine.
Tell me a little bit about the road you had to travel to before you got to the point where you met Jen.
Well, it's been a long road. I actually met my wife on eHarmony, and it's not specifically something I wanted to do right off the bat. My mom gave me the idea to try it out, and I went on there and I met quite a few girls. Nothing that was really going anywhere. And then I met someone, dated them for a while from Iowa, and that didn't work out. So I just felt, and implying from the Lord to just go back on there one more time. I didn't really want to. And I said, well, if that's what you want me to do, then I will, Lord. So I went back on eHarmony, and probably no more than a month of being on there, I met Jen. And the rest is history. It was totally the Lord leading me to the right person he had for me, for sure.
Now, Jen, you're meeting Matt. You obviously, if you met him on eHarmony, you must have been on eHarmony too.
Yes.
Tell me how that came to be for you.
Well, I had a friend who was quite a bit older than me, and she really wanted to meet someone. So I kind of signed her up on eHarmony without her knowing. I answered all the questions for her, and then I let her know, I did your profile for you, and if you want to pursue this, you just have to go on and sign up and pay the monthly fee or whatever. And she did it and did it for a little while, and it kind of hurt our relationship a little bit. So I went on there to kind of prove to her that it's no big deal and that you can meet somebody. And about 3 weeks later, I met Matt, and I wasn't even really expecting it. And it's funny because both of us, Matt and I, were both okay being single, and for the first time in my life, because I had never dated before Matt at all. I was waiting patiently for the right person, and that's a choice that I made, to wait for the one God had for me and not to waste any experiences on anybody else. And so when I met Matt 3 weeks into this, I was actually shocked. And I was like, okay, so finally, in the first time in my life, I'm like, all right, God, you're enough, and I'm okay being single. And then he says, all right, well, evidently you're ready, and if you're feeling that way, then I'm going to go ahead and give you what your heart truly desires, and that's a man to stand by you and take care of you.
Now, I have to be honest with you. When I was single, the idea of me going on the internet to meet somebody was was really kind of scary. And you said, well, that's just advertising. That doesn't really work. But obviously, it works.
Well, the thing with that is that, in our day and age, you're either going to meet someone by going out to a bar or something like that. It's really hard to meet, especially Christians, in anything other than the church.
And you're certainly not going to find the Christians in the bars.
No, and a lot of times at church, you've grown up with those people your whole life, or there's just not, you're not going to switch churches just to find someone if there's nobody in the church that you've met. So for me, and I know for Matt, it was just this where we were not willing to compromise with the kind of people that we wanted to date and marry, and so that was just something that we wanted to try.
Now, the other thing that would be a little concerning, I guess if it's me looking from the outside in, is if you go to, decide, okay, well, this person I've been talking with, well, first of all, how long did you two talk before you actually met face-to-face? How long was the correspondence going back and forth? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It's about 2 months.
2 months, okay.
Yeah, about 2 months.
Now, the old story is on the internet, you can be whoever you want to be. So, were you a little nervous meeting first time in a strange place? And Matt, were you a little nervous meeting Jen in a strange place? And were you guys like, what did you think?
Well, I wasn't nervous. The Harmony profile is it asks you so many questions, and when you're going on there saying you're a Spirit-filled believer, that's not usually something that someone makes up. And so I felt pretty comfortable, and we did meet in a neutral, we met at a park in Delaware, so there was a lot of people around, but I had already been talking to him on the phone, and I knew who he was, and, God really gives me a lot of discernment to know, what kind of person someone is, and so I wasn't really nervous. I was excited.
I know I was a little nervous for sure. I just remember seeing her pull up, and I was just sweating out of my palms, and I was like, "Oh boy, what's gonna happen here?" But it was actually a little strange because the way it worked out was I really didn't have feelings or an attraction for Jen right off the bat, and we just spent the whole day. We had a wonderful day together, and it took some time. It took about, I don't know, what do you say, Jen, a couple months, or at least 6 weeks or so, before I really knew I wanted to pursue this. And I was getting out of a bad relationship at the time, and that really weighed on me. But the thing I would like to tell people is if you have something good and you don't feel it right away, don't let it go. Don't just give up right away, because if I had done that, I would have missed out on the most incredible person in my entire life.
And those are the right kind of feelings to have too, when you're not overcome by lust and you're just attracted. Like it hurt me at the time to know that Matt wasn't attracted to me right off the bat, but it really it showed me that he fell in love with me for the right reasons. And so when you give it time to develop, that's how you really want it to be. Because if it's on fire right off the bat, chances of it dying off are a lot more.
Now, Matt, I know that you're from an Assemblies of God background. Jen, is that the same
Yes.
for you too?
Uh-huh.
So, what your beliefs were personally was never an issue. That can be an issue sometimes,
No.
but that
No,
was not
our
the issue.
beliefs were basically the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we believed everything the same. It was awesome.
Without getting too personal, were there things that you both had way different opinions of you had to work through, or was everything pretty much you guys were on the same page about?
No, but Matt had a lot stronger faith in some areas than I did. He was very strong in the healing aspect and what God can do, and I'm very strong in the future and how God has everything planned out. So we were able to complement each other that way. Our faith was just a little bit stronger in different areas, and that's really been the basis of our marriage to help us get through, because when I need Matt, he's there for me, and when he needs me, I'm there for him.
And
So
it's like areas where I'm weak, she's strong. And where she's weak, I'm strong. So we really complement each other very well in that area.
How important would you two say that it is to have God in the middle of your marriage?
it can't work without God.
No, not at all.
We would have been divorced
We definitely would have been
a month
divorced.
after we got married if we didn't have God.
I mean, our struggles in the beginning, in the first 2 to 3 months of our marriage, were pretty rough at times. We really went through a lot. But the thing that got us through was looking to the Lord and just taking time to think it through and realize, the Lord is the one that brought us together. We shouldn't give up on this. And I'm going to trust you. I'm going to do what you want me to do, Lord. And we had that attitude, and it kept bringing us back. And our center focus was about love, to love one another no matter what. And we did that, and it's really brought us so close together.
Now, there's an old saying that when you get married, it's not an old saying, it's a fact, you die to yourself. Did it take you a while? I know it took me a long time to learn learn the meaning, and actually there's still days I'm still learning.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Did that little saying
Definitely.
take on a new meaning once you got married?
Oh, yeah, big time for
We're
me.
both still learning, and we
We're-
probably
yeah.
always will be.
We're still going through that. That was very, very big for me, though, Greg.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I just thought was really, really neat, and I got to be honest with you, because I didn't know. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, just like you, man. But I heard that you're going to have this beautiful wedding, which I was there, and I heard it was going to be at this I guess was it a state park?
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, well, that's interesting. I didn't know. And then the day of the wedding, it was almost like a surreal. It's almost like a picturesque. If you have a dream and you just dream beautiful things and you see this beautiful, setting, that's the kind of thing you would have seen. Was that a miracle from the Lord that it happened at that particular place? Because it was just kind of a place that felt like it was ordained of the Lord to go there. It was just so pretty. I mean, normally you go to weddings and you can find flaws of the places you go. It was the most beautiful outdoor setting I've ever seen.
I'll tell you what, Greg, it truly was a miracle that it happened because Jen's dad, really, her parents were really wanting to pay for this wedding. And they were struggling at the time. And it was really going to be a challenge to meet this goal. And, we sat together as a family, my parents, her parents, we came together and we prayed. And we asked the Lord that he would bless this wedding and that he would bless her parents with the ability to afford this. And not too long after that prayer, he just started getting job after job after job. He's a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And the money was just rolling in. And by the time the wedding came up, he had more than enough for the wedding. It was just unbelievable.
Praise God. Mm. Now, one of the things that I know has been in something that most people would be probably petrified. I imagine there's probably moments where you've been weak and have felt this way. I know that anybody that goes through this would be that way. But, obviously, Jen, you married Matt. You decided to move to New Jersey.
Right.
So I assume in Maryland you had a nice job.
Yes, I had a very good job.
And from what I understand, you're very talented at what you do, which is, what did you do exactly, Jen, for our audience?
I worked as an office manager for a financial advisor, and I was going toward getting my license in sales for insurance and investments, and that's where I was kind of when I met Matt. And I mean, I had a good paying job. My boss, was good, but it was firm, and I'd been there for 5 years, and I was ready for a change.
Mm-hmm.
So
you came to New Jersey, and I imagine in your mind you probably said, well, after I get settled, I'll have a job in what, a month, 2 months, maybe 3. Now, first of all, how long, for the sake of our audience, have you and Matt been married?
almost 5 months.
Okay, and you're working, right?
No.
Okay. So the question is you two are young. Neither one of your parents are millionaires. I know that, and we can say that. They're average working people.
Yep.
Matt, you're not a millionaire. So the
Nope.
question is, how has the Lord gotten you to this point, based on the fact that I guess you're just the only one working, Matt?
It's been through faith. That's how we've gotten through this, through faith. Basically, what I've learned as the key to getting through successfully is basically forgetting about yourself, putting God first, praying, listening, and then obeying. You just can't go wrong when you do that. And then believe what the Bible says to be true, and that the Lord is going to work in your life. And what he says is true, just to believe it and to walk in faith. And it's crazy. Our bills are very heavy. I mean, we have 2 horses, we have a family now, we have a cat and a house and 2 vehicles, and we have a lot to take care of. And for a young couple like us, and I'm sure a lot of people understand, it's rough starting out. And the income that I was making at the time that we got married was a lot less than what our bills are. But God has actually met all of our bills every month and had money left over. It's just been unbelievable how God's provided.
Now, what are some of the ways that the Lord has provided, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, this time of the year, it's very, very slow where I work, and you never see overtime. Matter of fact, they usually either lay off or drop us down to 4 days a week. And I've actually gotten, in the past couple of months, lots of overtime. I mean, more than I can understand. It's just unbelievable. It's not supposed to happen, but I've gotten so many doubles.
Yeah, I know when I was setting this interview up, it was determined it was going to be Tuesday because Matt was working a double on Monday. So that's just another example of the Lord working it out. One other thing that I just want to touch on briefly, because I think it's important that believers as well as non-believers hear this, but it's when things are tight, and I can speak from personal experience. Some people are going to say, well, do we really have to give that 10% tithe? Things are tight. Boy, that extra 10%, that extra 10% would really mean a lot. We could get some extra groceries. We could do this. We could go have some fun. Our pastor says it this way, that not taking from God and giving 10% rightfully to him keeps the curse off you. Jen, speak about that 10%
Greg,
tithe.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because this is the key as to why we have money and our needs are being met. When we got married, we sat down and did the bills and took our wedding money and said, okay, by November 1st, Jen, you have to have a job. And if you don't, we're not going to be able to make December 1st bills. So December gets close and I still haven't gotten a job, and I'm getting turned down left and right for no reason at all. And God put on both of our hearts, said, did you guys tithe on your wedding money? And we both looked at each other and, we came to each other. God had revealed it to us at different times, and we both said, we have to tithe on our wedding money. I don't know, if that's the way that it goes, but that's income that came in, and that's what we used to pay bills. And so, and then after that, and that was, we literally had $200 to our name if we were going to tithe on our wedding money, and we didn't know how we were going to make the next month's bills. Well, from there, God has just provided, and every time another month rolls around, okay, I don't know how, but got enough overtime to provide for all of December's bills. And then January rolled around, and it's just been going on and on and on, and left and right, from production bonuses to tax returns to everything. God has just been using so many things to provide, and he can. That's an easy thing for him to control, is finances. I mean, Matt's parents give us money, and we didn't ask for it, and they don't want us to pay us back because God told him to. God controls everything when it comes to the finances if you let him, and tithing is the key. We made up our mind to tithe, and from then on, it's been a blessed life.
I'll tell you what else, Greg. The Lord showed me, because I asked him, I said, why do you want me to tithe off of our wedding money? That really doesn't make sense to me. And the Lord said, that is the first income and fruits that you guys received together starting out. So that's your first fruits of the year. So that's basically why he wanted us to give that money. So after he showed me that, it really made sense.
Well, I got to tell you, this time together has been wonderful, and would you believe our time together is just about gone, just like that? Wow. Our guest tonight on Second Chances has been Matt and Jen Sheets, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, the key to everything is faith. It really is. Honest to God, it's faith. They say it. I can tell you from experience, it's all about faith. Tune in next Tuesday for more second chances right here at Lift FM 98.5 and 97.9 on your FM radio dial, and of course worldwide as well at liftfm.com.